Greetings, brethren all. As you know, we are now well into the month of June, and most of us are beginning to feel a return to some semblance of normalcy in both our personal and our fraternal lives. In many ways, it feels like you and I have been separated from each other for a very long time. In other ways, it feels like we have stayed in touch almost constantly by using some of the many methods of communication that are available to us today through modern technology. Personally, I think I have become a bit more educated to the benefits of using things like the internet platforms for chats and gatherings, about using my cell phone for texting with people almost everywhere. I even find myself constantly using email, Facebook, and sometimes I even revert back to using the old snail mail system. And every once in a while, there are times I still use that handheld computer to make an actual telephone call. These times have also afforded me several opportunities as a man and a Mason to do some nice things for friends and family. On some occasions, I have even had opportunities to actually help a few people that could not seem to help themselves. One instance that comes to mind is about an old man who was turning 100 years old. This man had been a Mason in Evansville for 45 years. Suddenly, after 45 years, this man decided that he needed to take a demit. At the time, he was 80 years old. Well, no one seemed to know why or even bothered to check to find out that this man's wife had suddenly become terribly ill. That good man, who had always seemed to pay his own way, suddenly and alone decided it best to leave this fraternity so he could use his time and money to take care of his lady. So that's exactly what he did. That was several years ago. Just recently, that man's son, who is also a Mason from another state, decided to reach out to see if we could do anything to help his dad get restored. So we decided to take a look at the situation and see what happened. That man's own lodge even decided to take a look at things, and when they did, they determined that they genuinely had made a mistake in issuing that man a demit without investigating as to why he had asked for it to start with. They realized that they should have done was to remit his dues until he could find some way to get back on his feet and have life in a normal fashion. To make a long story short, about this situation, word got out. Word also reached the local Scottish Rite and the local shrine. These organizations, having heard this man's story, also felt that he should have never been released that way, so they too decided to bring him back to full membership. Today, I am very proud to announce to you that on that man's 100th birthday, his lodge, his local Scottish Rite, his local shrine, and your representatives from the Indiana Grand Lodge traveled to this man's home for his 100th birthday celebration. On the front lawn of that man's home, in front of his family, and in the presence of his neighbors, each Masonic group officially restored this man to full membership, not only as a Freemason in his lodge, but in his Scottish Rite and in his shrine. He and his family were very moved emotionally. Our efforts that day may have been small to us as individuals, but to that man and his family, our actions made a huge difference to him and to how his family looks at this great fraternity. Saying all this, now I will fall back and talk to you about a little bit about this time off during my personal life. Like you, or like many of you, I have often caught myself sitting around watching way too much television. To offset that little sin, I forced myself to start getting back to doing some regular exercise. Does this sound a little bit familiar to you as well? I think probably so. Additionally, I've also been working on a number of projects around the house that, to say the least, have been long overdue. And I have to tell you, I think getting those projects done has even helped with my home life, as Miss Katie seems to be smiling at me just a little bit more these days. As I said, with everything going on, I am most happy to say that it appears that we are reaching the point of finally starting to get back to some normalcy and that we can now attend our lodges. Sometimes it may not just be the lodge. It may be our Scottish Rite, or our York Rite, or any number of other Masonic organizations that we seem to enjoy. To me, and I am sure for you, this feels great. However, as we head out the door to start to do these great things, there are a few things I would like to ask that you keep in mind. Don't forget to follow the safety protocols that have been put into place. They're there for your protection, for those that come in your lodge, and for those that you go home to. Don't be critical of those who are not comfortable enough to return to lodges yet. Reach out to them and let them know that you're there for them. Please hold off on the conferral of any degree work. If things continue to improve, I'm confident that before too much longer, we will be able to get back to this essential practice. Remember that this has been a tough year for many. Maybe you could find it in your heart to remit the dues of those who have not yet paid. It could be they are struggling financially. Remember, it won't cost the lodge on their recap to forgive those dues. Keep in mind, this being an abbreviated year in office for your line officers, it might bode well to consider having them to remain in their current roles for another year to allow them to put into place some of the plans that they have not yet had the opportunity to instill. Remember to make sure that your actual business of your lodge is current and up to date, including making sure that all your reports and financial obligations have been met. And finally, as the current unrest continues around this great country, never forget who you are as Freemasons and that part of your obligation that says that we are to conform with cheerfulness to the government of the country in which we live. Now, my brothers, until we meet again, may God keep you and yours safe, healthy, and happy. Good day.